everybody, welcome back to Movie Cranks. My name is Mike, and this is our host, Larry. And tonight, we got to see the two-time Golden Globe winner, 1917.
You have a brother in the 2nd Battalion.
Yes, sir.
They're walking into a trap. Your orders are to deliver a message calling off tomorrow morning's attack. If you fail, it will be a massacre.
And if you don't think the Movie Cranks won't go through war, see movies.
Yeah, we had an ice storm and a snowstorm, but we still managed to finally see this movie.
Oh my God, finally.
And Larry goes, it was just like going through war.
It was for me, trust me.
It was a war.
I'm the one that got to drive through that crappy St. Louis weather.
Yes, it's been lovely. But speaking of which, please make sure to donate to the link that I'm going to show at the bottom. Everyone's trying to get everyone, even the 10 viewers of this video, to do a donation for the wildfires in Australia. So I'm going to post a link, and I'm going to donate myself. So, and Larry's going to donate and become a firefighter and go off and help them. So, good job, Larry.
Yeah.
After seeing this movie, this gave you the encouragement.
Oh my God, this movie.
It's incredible. What do you think of this movie?
To me, this movie was a lesson in filmmaking.
It was. It was great. It was. I can't say enough about how much I love this.
I mean, the only thing I can say is I only had one issue with the movie. The cinematography, the directing, the acting, the score.
Yes.
Everything was, to me, was perfect.
Perfect might be going a little too far, but it is incredible. On a war movie level, what did you think?
It's one of the better ones I've ever seen, to tell you the truth. I mean, to me, I would say this, maybe like Dunkirk.
This is very much like Dunkirk. It's on the level of Dunkirk with the gritty realism. Not so much the Hollywood and tanks and German soldiers and bullets whizzing by, kind of like we get with Saving Private Ryan.
Yes, this one has lots of bodies.
This one has very realistic World War I scenario. And I cannot stress enough the moments where you're following these two gentlemen around and they're digging in bunkers and they're moving quietly with flashlights and they have barely any food, water, anything to help them get by, and they keep encountering just death everywhere. For them to make a film that feels that real in World War I, it's incredible.
Yeah, to me, this was just, how do you explain it? There's so many scenes in this movie that I'm going to remember forever. There's probably 5 or 6 things that happen in this movie that, to me, it's going to stick in my mind. This movie isn't something you're going to forget about one day, 2 days. I think you're going to think about this movie. I may be thinking about it for the next 2 or 3 weeks.
And I will say the best scenes in the movie are the scenes from the trailer. You're going to notice that the best parts of the trailer are the best parts of this movie, basically. But, you know, what's nice is it's not the whole scene like we get with some. It's just a little piece. If you see him running down the battlefield and explosions going off in the trailer, that is a teaser. And that's what I feel like every scene from the trailer was a teaser for what happens in the movie. Because that's just one little scene. It doesn't show him running down the aisles of soldiers asking where's the captain at. It doesn't show him running through the bombs like in the trenches and then trying to get over the bodies and all that stuff.
Yeah, like that scene. Oh my God, like I said.
Yes.
There's some scenes you're not going to forget about, and here's one of them. When he's in the river, and he goes down the waterfall. That was just one of the best scenes in a movie I've seen for a long time. The way he jumps off, just to begin with, the camera angles, how it's just following them.
It never leaves them.
It never leaves them.
And I heard an interview with someone that said they were more shocked and nervous by following the camera around than what was happening in the movie, because it was like being there. You were like a part of their little unit. And you couldn't see around corners. You couldn't see what was happening to the left or the right. You could only see what the camera wanted you to see.
And there's even times, too, with some of these planes.
Yeah.
They don't even know they're there yet. And you can kind of hear them in the background coming.
Yep.
And you're like,
what is that?
They're coming.
Or you hear like
they don't even know yet.
Or you hear one of the Nazi little Germans. You hear one of the Germans walking by. And it's so weird to know that you're there with them. It's like you're riding shotgun, and it's not bullets flying. Let's get this straight. It's not Saving Private Ryan. It's not machine gun nests. It's not any of that. In fact, most of the movie, you see more dead soldiers than you see live ones. Just all over the place. And it's a lot of slow movement and crawling and going from foxholes. But it's so tense. It's more tense than Saving Private Ryan.
Think about how tense that one scene is. Because he's going through this little town, and then he runs into a guy, and they wait. They make you think.
Yeah, you don't know who it is.
This is one of us.
Yeah.
This is one of us. He's here to help them. And the way it's coming at him, and then all of a sudden he starts kind of running, and you're thinking maybe he needs help.
It's beyond the expectations I had. I thought we were going to see a Dunkirk. Now, I walked out of Dunkirk a little let down because of the way they created the copy of a scene. Act 1 was copied and changed to Act 2, and it felt like the same thing over and over again.
Yeah, I actually like Dunkirk.
But I did too. But I thought this one would be not as good as Dunkirk, but so far, it's probably one of my favorite war movies of all time.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely, I'm thinking that last year, because we wanted to see this in 2019, we didn't get the chance. It definitely would have been in my top 5.
Yeah.
This
it'd probably been my number 2.
This may be my number 2, number 1.
Yeah.
It may have bumped somebody off there.
What's wild about it is, when you go into this, you get a good startup. You get a feel for these characters immediately.
Blake, pick a man, bring your kit.
It's such good storytelling and characters. The characters are incredible.
The actors, you got George Mackay.
Yeah.
And you got
Charles-Chapman. Yeah.
Both these guys in this movie are great.
Incredible.
To me, I thought George Mackay was so good that I'm thinking, this is like your career moment here.
Yeah.
That
That's the best I've ever seen.
It's the best I've ever seen him. Yeah. I haven't seen a lot of him in some of this other stuff.
Some people might think he's a little dry, and he's got like just vacant stare a lot, but I think that's perfect. That's how they would have been in this situation. Yeah. And most of the time, I think he wanted to die.
Yeah.
He seemed like he was just ready.
Speaking of vacant stare, when he hops on that transport, the other guys, right after the changing moment of the movie.
Well,
it's just like
shell-shocking.
Exactly.
You could tell that there are serious injuries that these guys take on this journey. It's like a quest, like someone said Lord of the Rings. It is like Lord of the Rings.
Anyway, she sends him over this hair oil. Smells sweet, like golden syrup.
You have those two on a quest to save their brother and stop this attack.
Wilco loves the smell. He doesn't want to cast it around in his pack.
And that's the premise of the story. So you're on this clock that happens right away in the beginning of the movie. But as you start off this clock, you really get to know these guys.
So, he slathers it all over his barnet and goes to sleep. And in the middle of the night, he wakes up and a rat is sitting on his shoulder.
And one's funny and determined and brave. And this other one, he wants to get out of there. He's done. You can tell he didn't want to be picked.
Licking the oil off his head. Wilco panics and he jumps up. And when he does, the rat bites clean through his ear and runs off with it.
He even says, "Why the fuck did you pick me?
Why'd you pick me?"
Yeah. Because didn't know. And his friend, you know what though? It's weird. You do get a really big connection of those two. You can tell they weren't family. They didn't know each other. It was just from being in war together. They became like brothers. And that's what's amazing about the whole thing, is how real it felt.
Yeah.
When stuff happens to them, you feel it. You're like, oh my God. I remember sitting back and being like, just upset.
Yeah.
It's a sad movie. It's more sad than most. I mean,
it is sad. There is some things that happen during here.
It's harsh.
But I'm gonna not spoil it for you.
Yeah.
But there's, between the first and second act, there's some things that change this movie around from, I guess you could say it subverted my attention because I wasn't expecting it.
Yeah.
And I will say, to me, that was the one thing.
Expectations.
The only one thing I had issue with this movie. I wish they would have did that more around the second act going into the third act instead of that first into the second. I thought it came a little quick because I was enjoying what was going on up to that point.
Hard to explain. It's without spoiling anything. It's like you're on this path, on this journey to Mordor.
Yeah, and you can see it.
And you can see it, and they're just starting off, and everything's going good, and then all of a sudden, the whole movie changes. Yeah, totally. And you're like, whoa! It takes you by surprise, but I'm kind of glad they did it.
In a real world, this
could happen any moment.
Could happen.
Yeah, and that's what's nice about the realism is they really spent a lot of time learning how the guns work, the locations, the trenches, the way they built things, the way they designed things. I mean, they had very realistic guns in just the way these tunnels looked.
Yeah,
I mean, it was just insane. It was like really being there,
and just thinking about just the way it's shot and everything. It's made because of Sam Mendes to look like one shot. And there's times you're going around in a circle, and like Mike was saying in the car, you don't see lights, you don't see anything.
No camera
and they're going in a circle around them.
And we kind of realized, well, for a start, you can't really light it.
Action.
Because, you know, if you were running down a trench and turning around 360 degrees, there's nowhere to put a light anywhere.
They'll be in the water, filming him drowning in a river with his pack, and then spinning around as if they're just floating there with him in a circle, and it's incredible. Yeah, I will give this an A+ for filmmaking.
It definitely puts you in the movie.
Yes. The explosions are
practical.
Unbelievable. If you go to a theater with good sound quality, the explosions will rock the theater. I mean, it was crazy. It was like the walls were moving in ours.
And speaking of the effects and stuff, there's this one scene, and you'll know what I'm talking about, where they first get all across that front line, and there's some big guns, and these, I guess they were casings.
Yeah.
That I had no idea. I had no idea in my entire life there was a casing that existed that was that freaking big.
Well, and they stacked them. They just threw them in a pile because they were going to reuse them.
Yeah.
So they were like just stacked artillery shell casings.
Mountains of them.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
It's weird to see that in a movie. I've seen it in video games before. That's why I wasn't shocked at first. But to see it in a movie is incredible.
Yeah.
Because they went to a lot of work in that movie. They took a lot of work.
A lot of work. I mean, the costuming was great. The like you said, the locations they pick.
Yes, blown up bridges,
fabulous.
Blown up cities with spotlights and flares going off. That looked incredible. And let's talk once again about these actors. There's a few sprinkling of other celebrity actors in the movie. Colin Firth was in it. Daniel Mays. There's a couple other ones that were just sprinkled.
Doctor Strange.
Yeah,
don't forget that.
Just here and there. But it's just these two guys.
Yep.
The Germans are completely faceless. You don't know them. You don't see them, interact with them. Like, you don't learn any of their names. Nothing. Yeah. They're just the enemy. And they did that so well. The fact that these two actors can pull off something like this, I think both of them, you know, I'm hoping they got some awards. Because it was incredible.
I think definitely there's got to be a best actor in here for one of these two.
Because whenever he would talk about his family, they didn't write it like exposition, like, oh yeah, my mother is like this, like a Pearl Harbor, you know, where they just spew it out. He was like talking about his sister or something, talking about his mom, and then he just stopped.
Yep.
Because they want you to feel the weight of that situation.
And then, to me, there is one thing I need to talk about too, and this is the actual ending. It's no spoiler though here. There's something that happens at the ending that you don't know this entire movie. I mean, it's kind of hinted at a few times to make you think about it and wonder about it. And he sits down like that same way from the very beginning of the movie, and you find out, you know, that there is something more that he's fighting for. And I thought that was a really good, like, send-off right there.
Yeah. Well, you saw the difference. You saw him when he was not wanting to fight, and he was wanting to be off the line, and he was wanting to get out of it. You could tell he was out of it. I mean, George Mackay was... You could tell how hurt and stunned, and he's been in the frontline battles before. He talks about it. And it shook him to the point where he didn't care anymore. And now, at the end, it feels like he's done something.
The journey's done.
He's done.
So there's an accomplishment.
Yeah. It was probably one of the best that I've seen in a long time as far as war. This is an extremely well done war movie. The music is incredible. We were just talking how the orchestrated music in this, the way it goes up and down and takes you along for this whole thing.
It felt very much like the guy who did Dunkirk.
It did.
Remember the planes when they were coming in? There's just that one level. Yeah. And it seems like you just get a one level throughout the entire thing. And so, but yet it feels like it's getting louder. Kind of like how they did in Dunkirk. I felt that a lot in this movie.
It was pretty much a movie that relied upon sound effects. You needed the sound effects of the bullets zooming by and hitting the concrete and all that stuff is what provided the tension of him running and you know, screaming and breathing and all that. They brought out everything.
Yeah, they did a standout job with this.
So now that we talked over and over about all the pluses,
how great it is. Like I said, I only have that one minor. Other than that,
let's talk about some minor.
That was my one minor, and that's it. And that's just it. There's something that happens in the first act, going into the second act,
that changes your opinion.
That changes the movie around. You'll know it when you see it. I think it should have been
a lot
second
of people
to third,
felt that way.
Maybe even right towards the end, right before they got there. I think it would have been a better choice.
It's a Star Wars level Last Jedi subversion. I mean, it just flips the whole thing on its head, and now it's a whole different movie almost. So I understand that completely. If I was going to come up with a negative on my own, it would have been character interaction. It was a little lacking in interacting with the other characters,
or even
the enemy, or anybody.
Yeah, there really wasn't many characters in the movie.
There wasn't a whole lot of dialogue with other people. It was just this little tiny group of two, which is fine. But I'm more like, I like Saving Private Ryan, and it would still be the better movie for me out of the two because of the personal interaction between all the different characters.
See, I would probably be saying the same thing you're saying, but there was, to me, those moments when they're on the trucks.
Yes.
Where they do have more than just one.
Right.
We got 5, 6,
It's a
10,
small moment.
Where he gets,
It's great. Doesn't it make you feel good to see that one moment where he's talking to other people?
I know what you're talking about, because there were times I'm like going, I want to see them meet some new people. Take some new people with them.
It's just death and desolation. And it's just, that's the only thing I can fault it on. It went a little too far in that direction. If they had a few more times where they could have been together with other people or anything. I mean, even the Nazi German interactions were just very tiny. Like a few words, that was it. I don't know. If that was going to have a negative, that'd probably be it. The acting was phenomenal, though.
So score-wise,
what would you give this, Larry?
What would I give it?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say, like I said, there's only that one little negative. Everything else, this is a lesson in filmmaking. I think Sam Mendes, I want to go back and watch it. I've never seen the first movie he made.
I want to see this one again.
And I want to see this one again as well. To me, I can't give it anything less than an A+, because like I said, it'd be number 1 or 2 on my list for last year. And if I do put it on this one for this year, it's probably going to come on top 3 for sure.
If I was going to score this, I would say it was, to me personally, better than Dunkirk. I love Dunkirk, but I felt like this was a more deep-hearted, felt storyline of the
I agree.
Trying to save these guys on a clock and protect thousands, and it was incredible. My only negative would be the interactions, which I think that's why, if I had to score it, Saving Private Ryan would be one of my all-time favorites, A+. Dunkirk would probably be an A- for me. So this movie, I'm going to say we're right between that as an A.
Good deal. So, got anything else?
Please make sure to like and subscribe to our Facebook page and all that good stuff. We're almost up to 1,000 people. So if you're new to the channel, we do these reviews like this all the time. We just sit here, we talk about it, one take, we're done.
Yep.
So make sure to subscribe if you want to see more. And Larry, do we have anything else coming up right now?
I think that's about it for now.
Make sure to check out our best and worst of 2019. That was fun.
We'll have to watch a couple of those trailers we've seen tonight.
Yes. Yeah, there's some good stuff coming out.
Yeah, we've seen the one for, what was that one called? Oh man, the horror movie with the kid from Stranger Things.
Oh,
it's like The Turning.
The Turning.
So I think that actually, I want to say that comes out next week. So I'm going to go check that out for you for sure. because I want to see. I actually do want to see that.
I do want to see it.
Interesting.
We love corny horror movies.
I do.
I'll go see Conjuring 8 when it comes out. Okay, so
other than that, guys, do us a favor, subscribe right there.
Yep.
And until next time, we'll see you later.
Thank you.